guys, this is Jason Price here with the Hunting After Dark podcast and my co-host Justin Rumley, and we are getting to be joined here once again by the infamous Colt Pounders, and we're changing up our format a little bit. We're making ours a little more relaxed. We were getting tired of kind of sitting in those chairs, and
we're comfortable now.
Yeah, now we're a little more relaxed, so we just try not to get too relaxed here and get too comfortable. But
the more hardwood chairs, they just weren't cutting it for us, so changed it up, and here we are.
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of make this a little more fun. I mean, we were kind of always kind of seemed like we were so stern and rigid, kind of sitting there in them chairs, like sitting at that table, you know, movement to kind of move around. So we're going to have a little fun with this and see how this works out for us. And we're going to try something new. But we always like Colt coming over to be able to join us. He's one of our big hunting buddies, and he always has lots of insights for us. And he gets to go out there and test some of the new stuff. He gets to go out there and we get to play with some of the prototypes, and he gets to go run around out there in the woods, and
this is another good one.
Yeah, for sure. The product that we're going to be talking about here is we are actually going into something that is new, and Infrared Outdoor has the new 1024. And this is the TX60C that we have here. We've all got behind this unit, and we've all been running this unit, and it's been out here for just a little while, and we're just coming out. got balancing on our couch. Yeah. We're going to see if this one ends up on the floor here before we're all said and done. But this is definitely a unit that has been talked about a lot, but there's been a lot of interest. And I think that all three of us really are not going to fight that this is one of the best scopes out there if you're looking to spend the money.
Absolutely. The best scope out there right now, in my opinion. And
Yep.
I am going to be good about it this time. I will put clips of some of your footage in there, so I will put it in here. Do you remember some of the shots that you were taking with this scope?
Yeah, so one thing
he does field test a lot, so we're trying to jog his memory, so we've got to jog his memory.
Yeah, so, I mean, this scope come out after what I consider weather conditions have already got bad for the year. Mm-hmm. So I haven't got to take this scope out on a cool night where it really gets to pop its detail. Yeah, the night you and I went is the night he's referring to, right?
Yeah. Because I think that was the first time because it was like you said, the weather changing. I know for a fact we were fighting mosquitoes, so
and wind, very strong wind.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal,
and it was already hot. Yeah, and so that's what I appreciate so much about this scope is it is really good, and I've only used it in the not ideal conditions.
Pretty much the worst conditions that you've already used it and have been super impressed.
85, 90 degrees at night.
And where this scope dominates every other scope I've used is the zoom. I mean, it is really good image all the way throughout. Like the image quality does not go bad, and you can zoom way in.
I've argued with a lot of people about this because typically a lot of the technologies that would say, well, when you're digitally zooming in, you're losing resolution. And I would have to agree with you that out of all the scopes that we've tested over the years, this is the one that I've noticed the least amount of image degradation with zooming.
I'll put it like this. So, I like the scope so well after testing it, I bought one. I bought my own. So
we'll throw that photo up. We'll put that photo of you.
And so scope. This is what I was going to get at. All of my regular rifle scopes, when I sight one in, I'll pull the bolt, look down the bore, aim at a target at 100 yards through the bore, and then I'll adjust the reticle to it. And then typically I can have a gun dead on at 3 shots, dead on. Mm-hmm. This scope has good enough image quality and 98, 99 degrees that you can do that exact same thing with the thermal scope. I put a hot hands down there. I pulled the bolt out of my gun. I looked down the barrel, lined it up, and then dialed to it, shot. I was about 1 inch high and 1 inch right, dialed right to it. I was dead on in 2 shots.
I mean, having the image detail,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, and there's zeroing profiles because, the more zoomed up you are, the smaller increments of change you can make.
Yes.
It's nice to finally have that in a thermal to where you can get some of that daytime type shooting accuracy in the digital world, in a thermal.
Right.
I know you noticed that, and I know you did as well, Justin, running some bolt action rifles where I'm kind of shooting AR a lot of the times where you can have, a little bit of play in what your grouping's supposed to be, shooting a gas gun. versus bolt action and accuracy and things like that. But I mean, I still felt like I didn't have any issues with mine running out even on a gas gun.
I mean, next to the Mate, which my previous podcast, I think everybody knows the Mate was my this scope.
That was your go-to.
This
the
scope,
Mate.
I like this scope better. The image quality is better. You don't have to have. I still like the Mate. I mean, I still like it.
Oh, yeah.
But this right here, I've never seen a. I mean, and I ran a 1280, but I get along with this scope better than.
So sorry, guys, I'm blow y'all out.
Yeah, it's the ease. You just reach up and you to zoom. You just reach up and turn the turret, and I mean you can zoom in and out that easy.
Well, the thing with the 1280 is to me, I mean, the 1280 was the compact style, and to me, it was a little more complex than this Bolt 1024. It's to me, the Bolt 1024 is a lot easier to function with, and it's a lot more user friendly versus the 1280. It was just, to me, it was a little too complex. Just comparing it to the 1024, which is a little bit easier.
Well, I think the biggest thing, the difference is when you talk about 1280 versus like the 1024 here is, what did you think about 1020? 1280 was a 2-base mag. 1024 is a 3-base mag. What do you think about a 3-base mag?
I'm fine with it because the field of view is so big. I mean, you got a really big field of view in the scope, and I mean, I haven't had a problem. Like I said, I haven't got to coyote hunt with this scope just a whole lot. I think I got 2 or 3 with you.
Yeah, I think we shot 2.
You got some very nice
long shots. Yeah, like 240,
It gets there.
And then the other night, I don't know, a week or 2 ago, we went and I killed one. And I mean, I don't know. I use a scanner, so I'm scanning, and when a coyote comes in, I go with a gun. I have zero problem picking up, finding an animal in the scope.
So you're liking to be able to kind of run the handheld and then pop over to that. I mean, handhelds, a lot of guys always ask, going 640, 384, seeing things warm and then going over to your gun. I mean, I always say how I believe in some of this stuff is to have the best resolution in the scope, because that's the last thing you're going to be looking through before you pull the trigger.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. The resolution on this is top notch. I mean, and that's like I said before. Even through the zoom cycles, it doesn't go away. I mean, on all my other scopes, I never zoomed. I always shot on base magnification, because every zoom you lose half your resolution. Well, this one, you zoom one time, and it's still as good as any scope you ever had before.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's credited to, with a lot of manufacturers, a majority of the time is that they end at 50-millimeter sensors. I mean, you do get a couple 75s out there every once in a while, and there is another company that does have one more 60, but not in this resolution, but 60-millimeter sensor. So having, I think, that larger sensor is why you're probably seeing a lot of that, where the degradation of the image is less, just because you have a bigger sensor bringing in the information and still as we're digitally zooming in.
Right.
Larger sensor, 1024, starting at 1024. And then being able to kind of go down from there, it's like we used to sit in 640. I mean, it's going to take you a little bit to get down there to that 640 resolution. But that 3-base mag, I got a lot of guys that were asking about if that's a problem for up-close shots. And I'm like, no,
not at all.
Not at all.
I mean, I like a 3-base. I mean, you get some, pop in every once in a while, like 2.5, but it's like shooting stuff at 40 yards. We shot stuff at 40 yards, no problem at all.
I prefer a 3-base at 40 to 50 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the ideal base.
Well, one of the first scopes I ran was the RL 42, and its base mag was 4 power, and I got along with it just fine for a couple of years, and then, I mean, so the 3-base mag is no problem for me at all.
No, I think up close shots and then distance shots, I mean, being at a 3-base magnification, there's no issue whatsoever sitting there running that for up close and then having those distance shots. I mean, it has a big circular display in here, so it's a full screen display, big 60-millimeter sensor, and, some of the things that I think I really liked about this unit as well, which is a little bit different than the other Bolt units. What do you think about that focus? That has that throw lever.
And so I'm so used to that from my long range rifles for my regular shooting, of having that. So now all of mine are on the side. So the focus ring is something that I'm very used to of doing forever. So that's not something out of the norm for me to reach up there and focus, because I do it with my long range rifles. And
Absolutely.
so yes, I do like that.
Did you like how that the fine tune of that focus was?
Yes.
I mean, it was just like, you barely moved it and you're back in focus.
Right.
I think you did move your throw lever over a little bit, or was that somebody else I'm thinking
No,
of?
I think
was that Doug?
I think that was Doug.
Doug moved
Doug
his
adjusted
around.
his throw lever.
Yeah, he
up.
made it. The thing is that throw lever is positional where you can kind of move it. So if you didn't like it like directly on top,
Yeah, you can move it to the side.
yeah,
so
you can move
reach
it over
up.
a little
Yeah.
more aside if you're kind of left-handed
Yeah.
or whatever. Be able to kind of go up there or right-handed or whatever,
Yeah.
vice versa on the things. But mess with that throw lever. But it just felt like when you had stuff coming in, it was just so easy to turn that focus for
Yes.
stuff that was running in.
Yeah.
Just quickly, all of a sudden, you're back in focus.
Right. And
You're in far.
rarely have I had to do it except for the long range shots. I haven't even messed with it. I typically focus mine at about the 100-yard mark. And then, when calling at nighttime, that's about your shot, 50 to 100 yards.
Yeah.
But on the longer range stuff, then I did reach up and mess with it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, running from 1280, talking about some of your long range shots, like the 1280 before, a lot of people were concerned of their 1280. It was 75 millimeter sensor in the front, so that was great, nice big sensor, nice big image quality, but they did not like that 30 hertz refresh rate.
Right.
Where this one is going over to, don't hold me to it, is it 50 or 60?
I think it's 60. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
We better pause for a second and we make sure what the refresh rate is, so I don't screw this up. Because I'll cut this video, but the thing is, I better make sure. Because I thought it was 50. If I screw this up, people will be like all on me. 50.
50.
Yeah.
I think the RH50R is 60.
So with this unit, you're going from now to this 50 hertz refresh rate at a 1024 resolution. And, you kind of think about hertz sometimes as that refresh rate, how the smoothest of image, especially with movement. We get lots of pigs down here where they're constantly moving and stuff. But, you were dealing with that a lot in the varmint situation where the coyote was over 200, 250 yards out moving.
Right.
And you think about how bullets fly, the distance. That just minute movement about how quick they respond. They flinch when you go. So just like think about like deer hunting. And flinching whenever they hear something. Same thing there. Having that faster refresh rate.
It always keeps you ready.
Yeah, and I said I think that it probably helps you on some of those shots, those longer range shots.
Right.
Having that faster refresh rate. Looking at that animal, being able that image is coming across so much smoother,
Yes.
and you're watching them and being able to make those shots.
Right.
You're talking about those millisecond type changes that you're able to see now with this scope and be able to make those long range shots.
Right.
So I think it's definitely superior in that regard when you look at that and processing information through a scope. Being able to run that now at this higher resolution, higher refresh rate. Sorry, not higher refresh. Not higher resolution, because 1024 versus 1280. So I don't really see that 1280 kind of being the thing anymore. I think.
And the sight height is just so high with that 75 millimeter.
Oh yeah, that big
you're
recoil
reaching,
compensating.
and I hate that feeling of having to reach for it.
It's not comfortable.
No.
Not comfortable at all.
Or
If you don't have an adjustable cheek piece on your rifle or a pad
It ain't going to work out at all.
Well, we're trying to get our buddy Blake to upgrade to that RS75 and drop that 16,000 on that 1280. And
Yeah.
I know he went out there and ran it for a little bit, but we got him convinced on this one on the 1024.
No, he got one too.
That
He
price
bought
point.
one too, and he loves it.
That
A matter
price
of fact,
point.
he runs it on the green. I don't know what it's called. I didn't even know it
Oh,
would
on
do
the
it.
green palette
Yes,
mode?
and he
Meridian.
loves it. He loves it.
Meridian.
Really?
Yes. Because
likes it on that green
yes,
mode?
because
Christmas
he always
green.
hated the way it blinds you. They're so bright.
That's
It's
true.
so that's what
has
he
said
likes
that.
about it. It's easier on your night vision, your natural night vision red, green.
Yeah, white, because white light blasting into your eyes versus green.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot
Pretty
fainter.
cool. I'm going to try it out.
Yeah.
Now that you say that.
That's
pretty
interesting. We'll have to get Blake to come
Yeah.
talk to us about it. And see,
Oh yeah,
see what his
yeah.
thoughts are.
I looked over at his scope the other night. We were on a rack, and I looked over, and it's green. I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, I love it. It's the way to do it." I was like,
See, that's the thing is, like, you get with other guys, running a scope, and everyone's going to take away something different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of those things about, Blake, I want to sit there and run rather than it green.
Oh, the biggest thing I
But-
can say about this one, like me being a long range shooter and shooting a lot, is it's so natural going to this scope. This is the first bolt in the Bolt series that I ran that's like a regular scope.
Yeah, because
And-
you asked me, what is there a thermal coming out that's going to be in a scope style? Because I've got a rifle for it. I mean,
Yeah.
it seemed to be perfect.
Yeah,
for you.
I had a rifle built for this scope. So I mean, it's
Well, tell,
Okay,
tell
yeah.
people what you're shooting. What do you got?
it's
it mounted
gonna
on?
be it's a 12-inch. I mean, it's a bolt gun. It's gonna be a uh, what is it? A Bighorn Origin action. It's a custom rifle. It's gonna be a 6 arc with a 12-inch barrel, a Macmillan. I mean, a Manners. I can't remember the number. Something E5 mini chassis stock or something. The whole rifle's about that long.
You gonna put that scythe on there? What you gonna put on it? What suppressor you gonna put on it?
What's that titanium one I bought?
You get that scythe.
Scythe,
You
yeah,
got that
that
nice
one.
ass
Yeah.
scythe, the one that I want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that super light. I mean, that
Yeah.
suppressor is so super light, and it's nice to not have all that weight down there. At
Yeah,
the end of
and
the
it's
gun.
not real long either, so it's going to keep the whole rig short.
Yeah, because I got that Dead Air L. I got that big old longo one on my gun all the time, so
Yeah.
I'm ready for a little bit of an upgrade.
That gun should be ready in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
So you'll already be ready here. We can get into wintertime, go out there and go
Oh,
out
yeah.
to your varmints and be
Oh,
ready
yeah.
to
Deadly.
go.
You see
Yeah.
Colt out there, he's gonna whip his rifle out of his pocket and be ready to go. The
That
old
12-inch barrel.
I'm
little
hoping
short
that 12-inch barrel in my longer range shooting gets along.
Yeah.
Well, and this scope, I mean, is one thing that we, it's kind of interesting. Like, not everything was quite released when we get some of these things. We kind of get the prototypes, kind of get things a little bit early. We go out there and we're running them, but now they have their ballistic calculator all set up with this.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you may have to take a laser rangefinder and go run around and see if you can get those ballistic calculations to work with that 6 arc and run you some loads through and see what's going to work out for it. Because what it'll do now is it'll actually give you that drop point. Now,
Right.
it's not going to give you any windage, left or
Yeah,
right, but
yeah,
as
yeah.
far as up and down, I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
super
that'll be
windy nights.
helpful. That's the other thing I appreciated about this scope is it's got a pretty good reticle lineup in it. They're thin.
yeah.
I don't like the big bulky ones. This
Can't
has
see
got
nothing.
some more thin
Yep.
ones that are finer.
They went to the fine ballpoint pen, not the Sharpie
Yes,
marker.
yes, and that's something that I've always. Once again, it's why I love to make. I could run it on one of my Zavorsky scopes, and I'm using my crosshairs, but this one's plenty good. I mean,
Yeah, I can see that.
and you can upload customs to it, custom reticles.
Yeah, with the app, that's exactly right. You can do those custom marks on there on that deal and doing the custom reticles.
Right.
I mean, that is right. I'm curious to see if you're gonna go mess
Yeah,
around
I'm
with that.
probably
You
gonna
gotta
mess
try
with
it out.
that.
You gotta
Yeah.
try it out. Because
You
some
have
people may
to.
like that than the ballistic calculator. Some people have an issue dealing with a computer, so there's always a give and take with that. There's different areas and terrain that we run. It's like right now, it's like if you go use laser rangefinder right now in some of these cornfields we've got, all those stalks left behind,
Yeah.
some of that grass growing in between splits that beam,
Right.
and then the ballistic calculator's wrong.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, some of these areas where it's nice and flat, that's perfect, but then again, having a customized reticle,
Yeah.
is kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of be able to put it on there. You're like, okay, I'm gonna range over here just to the left of this grass pile right here.
Right.
I know what that range is. I know my hash marks this, and be able to shoot. But I guess there's just kind of different ways to utilize that laser rangefinder for some of those longer shots. But I don't know. I mean, the ballistic calculators being something new that a lot of thermals are going to have here in the future, and this one having it, it's definitely interesting to see what guys are going to be doing.
Yeah, with that 12-inch barrel, that may be big because I don't know what my drops are going to be. I mean, I'm not used to run. I mean, I run a lot of 16-inch barrels on 3 or 4 of my rifles.
If I think about factory ammo, I think I'm shooting the 6 arc ELDX, and I want to say it was like 2,800 feet per second. And then when me shooting suppressed, like usually they do 22-inch barrels.
24s.
24s.
Usually 24s.
And then I think mine was down to, when we chronoed mine, one was like 2650 or something like that.
Yeah.
With it being suppressed in a 16-inch barrel, like I lost like 150
Yeah.
150 plus more.
Yeah, I'll figure
feet per
out.
second. So I mean, that was me.
200 somewhere in there is where I figure what I'll lose.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is what's nice is that I like that bullet.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of ELDX. You've played around. What did you think about those varmint bullets? You should.
That's my bullet there.
Was it 80
ELD
the ELD
VTs?
VTs.
those 80 grains.
If
right?
if you can get them to shoot, they're nasty on an animal. And
That's the same. With it being a little bit
yeah,
slower,
I've got a
maybe
couple
shoot
of
those 80s.
I've got a couple of 22 creeds and 6 creeds that I run, and they a couple of them they don't shoot worth crap in, and then a couple of them they're all right, but they are nasty on an animal. That's a really good bullet.
Yeah, so you're gonna get to play around with some of that. I mean, I was shooting those 103s, and then he's been shooting some of those 80s and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see when we start looking at what capabilities when you're having higher resolution and longer range shots. Because I am getting tired of stuff, sitting there out there 200 yards, 250, maybe 300 that are like hung up and they're not coming in. I mean,
You
it's
just
like,
got to send it.
That's the only way. You just take a
That's the
shot. You
thing.
never know if
You
you're
got to
going to
send
hit.
it.
yeah, you gotta let that sucker go. Be like, oh man, they're
agree.
already ruined by the call. I might as well just go throw one out there.
Yep. I
One
agree.
other thing to talk about on this scope is the battery. The
Yeah, I was gonna ask you
the
what's up.
secondary battery.
You like that?
Oh yeah.
You forget to charge it one time?
No, but the 18 what is it 18650? That's the best battery you can have. I mean, you can pack 20 of them if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, it has an internal battery, and it's great on the runtime. And what was it that Doug said he got on that internal battery the other night?
Full charge, he got 6 hours. So I'm guessing anywhere between a solid 6 to 7 hours in ideal conditions that you'll be able to, like I say, get 6
Well,
to
it's
7
so
hours.
easy to swap on the fly.
And
You
then,
just
like,
unscrew the
yeah.
side, and pop
And
a
then
new
like
one
2
in.
hours on the 18650, maybe a little bit more on
Yeah.
the 18650. But the thing is, those are $20 batteries.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through those in dual bay
Oh,
charger.
yeah,
You can go get a quad bay charger if you wanted
Yeah.
to, and go charge 4 of them up
Yeah, I always
in the wintertime.
I always carry them for my my scanner
On your
runs
handheld.
the same batteries, and so I carry. I don't think I've ever went through 2 sets in a night. On a cold night and maybe not ideal conditions. So I'll get 3 or 4 extras for this and just carry them. And
Well, that's the biggest thing too is because like on the other Bolt series, like the TH50C and the TL35s, and you would always have to get the Bolt extender, and that's an extra $100 because if you don't get that, you can only run the 18500s. So I think that was one of the biggest upgrades, aside from being a 1024 60 millimeter lens, is they went ahead and extended that battery port so you're able to run an 18650 without that Bolt extender. So I thought that was pretty cool, and kind of, even though you're spending big on getting the scope, but you are saving that $100 and not having to get that Bolt extender, and you do get 2 of those 18650 batteries with it already. So I thought that was a nice feature that they added on that TX60C here.
it comes with a very nice mount from the factory as well.
Oh,
Yes.
that dual lever mount. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I go back and forth sometimes. It's like we'll try out that factory mount, see kind of how it works, and sometimes I do like to switch mine over. But I will admit that I did run the stock mount initially, and then I swapped over when I swapped rifles. I was like, I want to use my bow bro. I like my bow bro.
Yeah.
Mount, so I did run a bow bro on mine.
You could get away with running regular scope rings with this scope.
A lot of
regular
people do.
30 millimeter scope rings. I mean,
Yep, like rings that they love, and there's like, hey, just go ahead and go throw those suckers on. If you know,
Yep.
I mean, there's plenty of eye relief on this sucker.
plenty of relief.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so you're not having to play around too much with it, which is nice. But the videos and things on here, I mean, this thing, having the video, the audio, the Wi-Fi streaming, I mean, it was nice to be able to pull videos off. They never had any issues pulling videos off of these things. And that Infra Outdoor app has been really, really cool to be able to do that. But you said that you were out the other night and you had you took a kid out the other night.
Yeah, I
right?
took one of my buddy's sons out of hunting the other night, and I think I shot one hog that night at extreme long range. I made a really good shot on it. But that boy, I believe he was turning 11 or 12 years old, and he was on the gun all night. Matter of fact, he rode the high rack, and we had the M6. We were scanning, driving around in a Ranger, and we'd spot one. I'd hop up there and help him get on it, and we drove up on 3 hogs that he mowed down all 3 in one setting. He dropped the first one unexpectedly. The other 2 took off running to the right, and one of them stopped. He dropped it. Well, the third one ran back across, and he made a shot that I've seen a lot of people. It was
Whiff on.
unbelievable. I mean, you're talking 150, 200 yards on a dead run, and he rolled him up. Like, perfect shot right behind his shoulder. And I didn't get to see it, but his dad and my other buddy were down in the Ranger on the M6, and they started whooping and hollering. They said, "Did you see that?" Well, I couldn't. I'm standing in the
I feel
dark.
like, yeah,
you know?
I did over there.
Yeah, I heard it. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard the whop, but yeah, Connor was a definite supporter of that scope, and he's ran all my scopes, and he's like, "This is a good one."
I loves it.
Yeah.
Tell Daddy to come buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, come, Daddy, come,
Yeah.
hook them up. Say, know what you want for Christmas now.
Yeah. Expensive Christmas there.
What rifle was he running?
One of my Alamo Precision 6 Creedmoors. Yeah.
Too
Sorry,
bad,
guys,
man.
I'm sitting here all
Over
coughing
here
up.
dying on us, man.
I am. Well, what are you talking about the other night? Your allergies are so bad. I thought we had to go home early.
Yeah, I mean, I did sleep for about 10 hours, and I still feel like shit.
Well, we've been running around in all those cornfields, you go
getting that
kicking up all
dust.
that dust going. all that
I'll
corn
tell you
dust.
this. What it was is Jason made me walk about 200 yards into this field, and we get there and we can't see anything. So we're like, well, let's turn around, and we turn around, and we're like, why don't we just drive over there? If we spook them, we spook them. And sure enough, we drove we were probably 100 yards from them, and yeah, they did spook a little bit, but we hopped down, put a good stalk on them, and we killed them. But I was gonna say, why couldn't we have just done that the first time?
Yeah.
Hey, running the electric buggy now, I will tell you
It's a
that
game changer.
I am now a lot lazier. Now I'm
Your
just-
electric buggy is scary. I mean,
Can't
there's
hear
been
it.
times where we've been out before and, we'll
Yeah.
shoot something and he walks back to the buggy. And if it wasn't for something rattling in the back of your buggy, you'd never know you were coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is,
Well, hell, we went in that one field and we called that pig up that you shot like at 30 yards or less. That one that was running at us.
oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, that one come running into the call, but I mean, we pulled right in that field and he had to be right there on the edge.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
as
he
soon as
shot
we-
out of the woods like a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as we turned that call on, boom, they were on top of us. But
Yeah.
it's just like, there's things you don't never ever know what you're blowing out.
Yeah.
And he's got all those crazy stories. But yeah, I'm gonna start being a lot lazier. But running through those cornfields, hitting all those stalks. But it's just like when there's cows out there with them too. It's just kind of like they're used to hearing a little bit of noise. I'm just gonna take advantage of it.
Well, I think a cow is louder than that buggy is. I mean, so
Definitely.
crashing
That
through.
buggy's quiet.
yeah, we can barely hear it. Like I said, a cow's definitely a lot louder.
Yeah, we're having to do some more field testing on some new units that are releasing, and this is one that it is very, very, very hard to go from this scope back and
To
testing
anything. To anything.
to anything and testing anything else. It is so hard. You get used to that resolution, and you're looking at stuff, and I mean, there's so many fields. I mean, I know you've experienced this. There's so many fields where you're looking at the handheld, you're like, yeah, I'm not sure. You throw up the gun, you throw up that 1024, you're like, oh, no, that's deer.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's
There's
deer.
no question
that's
about
deer.
it. There's no question
questioning.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sitting there looking at 1,000 yards
Armadillo.
out.
Armadillo's
Yeah.
close so hot.
That's coon out there about 500 yards.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
not
I mean,
armadillo.
I mean,
can
you're
see
sitting
it.
there 1,000 yards away looking at something with this scope. You're like, yeah, it's this. And you just move on. I mean,
And like I said,
unreal.
it's just so
Fighting with
comfortable
people.
because it's like a regular scope. If you're used to shooting daytime optics, no different.
yeah, I mean, and anybody that calls me and asks me, they're like, well, what do you prefer as a scope? And it's like, I'm going to tell you right now, I said, I hate any of the scope styles. I don't like the scope styles. Where
Yeah.
you guys are different, y'all like those. I don't. I like the compact stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what is in this scope, it makes it like resolution quality and
Yes.
trying to get away from it. It's like, I'm willing to sacrifice
Yeah.
my personal preference to go to the scope style just to get this scope and that resolution. I mean, 3 base mag, 1024, 60 millimeter. I mean, what else would you
16
do?
magnif. You can go 16 power,
It's up to 16 power, and, like
and
you
it's
said,
pretty
that-
good all the way throughout.
And
You can see, you can count eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so hard. But I said, you dial it up, you dial it back. I like turn dial zooms. You already talked about that earlier.
Right.
But
Sighting
that-
in's easy. You just hold down the button to navigate through. I mean, I never, when I got this scope, I never even pulled out the instructions. It's
very
common
simple,
sense.
very simple. Yeah.
It will walk you right through this one.
So I'm gonna poke fun at Blake. Did you sight in his gun for him?
Yes.
I was gonna say so easy.
It's
to put it in
because
the-
that I had already done mine. I'm not saying he's not capable by any means. I had already done mine, and
He just wanted a little
it was the
assistance.
night we were going hunting,
Yeah,
and
you're
I,
like, hey,
I
we need to
mounted
hurry.
it,
We
went
need to
down
hurry.
there,
We need to go. We
and
need to go.
I pulled his bolt, looked down the bore, and he was sighted in 3 shots.
No.
And I'll tell you this, Blake is one that it pisses him off so bad when he can't group his gun like with a thermal. Yeah, it's
yeah.
hard to group with the thermal. I mean, minus the mate, you got the big crosshairs or whatever. This scope, he was shooting bullet holes, just like he was with his daytime optic.
So he's happy.
Oh, he was tickled. It's probably the only time we
well,
walked
he's-
away he wasn't cussing, pissed off. This piece of junk, you know. And he was happy. He shot. I mean, he bullet holed 3 shots. They were all touching.
He's always such a crack. He's always such a crack shot anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing is he gets aggravated. if Things aren't working the right way.
Right.
So I mean, I'm glad that he
Yes, he was
decided he wanted to make
impressed.
some change because
Yeah.
you know it's kind of hard to sit there and justify $16,000 for like that 1280.
Right.
Now at
Well, he's
seven,
got the mate too.
yeah, but like it's $7,000.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those deals where you're not passing up on that resolution and those opportunities. And then I knew how well it was shooting, and I was like, I knew that'd be something that he'd be happy with, that you'd be happy with as bolt action shooters.
Yes.
That this is one that you don't want to skip out on. This is not one that you're going to be like, oh well, there's going to be something else new right behind it. No, this
Right.
one's
No,
it.
it's
This is
worth
the
it.
top of the line. This is what
Yeah.
you really want. And I mean, there's a lot of other options now in 640. There are a ton
Right.
of options in 640. And you know we get questions on clip-ons all the time. We really do. They always look at your video and ask about clip-ons in comparison.
I'll still push it. That's still a good scope.
well, they're on sale right now. They're like $1,000 off, but it was like $6,000 mate, $7,000 1024. Right now they're on sale for $5 on those mates. But the thing is, it's like if you had the choice right now, you're like, I want.
Don't do that to me. Yeah.
But the thing is, would you go knowing
the
what
image
you know
quality
now?
is so good on this. There's things that I worry about on the mate. I've always worried about breaking off the wire on the external battery, like throwing it in a Ranger, it sticks out the side.
Yeah.
And I've always worried about somebody clipping that with their leg or throwing their other, 2 of us riding in the front seat of my Ranger and they throw their gun in, hitting that and breaking that wire off. That's always been something I've worried about.
Yeah.
And so
Or
this one, you don't have that problem.
Or leaving the magnetic removable remote behind.
Yeah. Blake did that. Yeah, I found
See,
it.
we're gonna have to get Blake on here. We're sitting
Yeah.
here
we gotta bring him
making
back.
fun of him a little bit.
So here's what
Poking
I'd
fun at
say: buy them both. But
Yeah, I mean,
if
absolutely.
you buy them both,
because we get a lot of precision guys that do want to find something that is going to transition. I mean, you're not going to get it perfect.
No.
But I mean, you're going to get it pretty close.
really and truly, I would.
I mean, guys that are buying, the $3,000 Swarovski scopes or whatever, or
And that's
more.
the problem. I mean, I'm
want-
running a $4,000 scope behind my mate. So I mean, it's a Z8i. I would probably go with this one because of the resolution. Because I mean, that's so nice to be able to see. I mean, it's so much detail. That
At those distances, you're able to tell versus, you can't take, like you said, you can't take anything away from the mate, but that 1024 resolution does
well,
make a
even,
difference.
and I'm not even saying identifying at distance. It's just cool to be able to see,
that much detail.
to have a aim point on a coyote. You can tell the difference in the colors of their hair. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
Like
I
you can
got
see
you.
detail, not hair color, but
No, you can see yes.
yeah, you
I'm
can
trying to put it in
you can
words
pick
for
you out
but
an aim point.
Yes.
Well, on one of your coyote shots, I guess Justin was playing a spotter for you.
Now, he
And
was
range it
he was
for you.
calling ranges. I think he called
I think it had the
220, 230.
Yeah.
And then he kept steadily going away.
yeah, he was angled out.
Angle away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so you know pretty much kind of what your round does and things like that. I mean, we did talk about the ballistic calculator a little bit, but flat shooting rounds. I mean,
Yeah. 6 Creedmoor's a nasty. And that may have been a 22 Creed I was shooting that night. I don't remember.
I think you were
Where'd
shooting your 6 Creed. I
Was
think
it a 6
was
Creed? Yeah.
The blue and yellowish gun.
Oh, it was the blue and yellow gun?
Yeah.
Then it's a 6 Creed.
well, we're getting a lot of guys that are kind of throwing out that 22 Creedmoor, kind of throwing that one out there. Some of these guys going back to 22 250.
I got a 22 Arc, got a 6 Arc, 22 Creed, 6 Creed.
Well, they're looking
The
at those
6
flat
Creed
shooting
seems to
rounds.
be the one that I always fall back to. Because I run that 87 grain VMAX factory ammo for varmint hunting because I don't want to try to keep up with brass. And that's just
Hold on, in the
such,
dark. Let me turn the light on. Let me find this brass real quick.
Yeah. It's
I've
so
been with some of them guys.
that's a really good factory round for coyotes. And
Will, you think you and Blake running them TX60s when you think about varmint season? think you guys are gonna be able to get after it?
Unless you're gonna make me run something else all varmint.
No. This one's gonna be one that's gonna be sticking around.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they got anything else in the works. I think there's something, they're gonna.
Oh,
announce.
I'm gonna love to get to run it if I get to, but I was already thinking I may have this and I got to run something else.
No,
Yeah.
I will run all the lower resolution stuff. That way you don't have to. You're
go
all
pawn
good.
them
I'm
off to
bougie.
somebody else.
I'm bougie.
Yeah,
so.
I'll go run the 384 stuff.
Yeah. I'll pawn those off to somebody else. Let them have fun with them.
Oh man, you wanna know how hard it was? I went from this then to testing 256 units.
I don't say you did it. I mean,
19 and 25
impossible.
I'd have
256s,
quit.
man.
That's why you got to carry around a 640 scanner to kind of try to make up for that difference.
Oh, it's like this.
Just
When
hope.
I'll never forget when I was younger and I was really getting into long range shooting. I only had one high quality scope, and so when I would take out several of my rifles, I would purposely shoot the ones with lesser scopes first because once you got on that one,
Can't go backwards.
You can't go back.
No.
It's so. You should have shot the lesser ones first.
Oh
and
no,
then-
no! I want it to be like the first one. I want to see what this TX60
See what
does. I
it's
want
all
to get the
about.
footage out first. I want to be
Yeah.
the first one to get them videos out, and then having to go back. Yeah, it was. It's like a kick in the teeth, and it was like, oh man, I gotta do this. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
It's
do it.
dang near
And I know I
impossible.
already said that earlier, but it's just like I just remember. I mean, just having to go back to that, it's like, oh man,
agree.
it just messes you up for life.
Oh,
It's tough.
But
It's good.
But that's where I think a lot of companies are going. I think a lot of companies are looking at 1024 resolution, 1280 resolution, and we are going to see some higher resolutions. Do I think that we're going to see a little bit more than that? I don't think we're going to see much over 1280 here per se, because we did kind of play around the 1280 and the price point was just not.
Yeah.
People weren't ready to spend $16,000.
No.
I mean, a lot of the varmint hunters out there are pretty serious about this, but I don't think.
I wouldn't spend 16.
But you can buy two 640 scopes for the price of that one. And,
well, hell,
you
two
know,
two of these.
You can buy two of these. And
Yeah, exactly. You know,
you and a buddy are ready to go.
there's no rhyme or reason to
Yeah.
not buy two of those versus buy one 1280. To me, it makes logical sense, but hell, somebody else might think
That
differently.
1280 is not that much better than that scope.
No, I would agree with you. I mean,
It's-
I would. I mean, the thing is, yes, we're talking about that resolution, but I'm just going to tell you that 3 base. I mean, instead of 2 base 1280, 3 base 1024. I'm going to take the 3 base 1024.
Yes, me too.
Because there are competition out there that has lower base mag at 1024,
Right.
which I don't know why that would do that. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because not all 1024s you see out there or 1280s you see out there, they're not all the same.
Right.
They're not. They're definitely not all the same.
I agree.
mean, and I've been behind a lot of these, and I've been very impressed with
I've
this
always
TX60.
been partial infrared, so
Hey, and I kind of like that TX in there. You got your Texas 60.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
We'll call it the Texas
Hey, it's
60.
made for the
Texas
Texas
60.
boys,
Yeah.
man. I mean, that's
Made for the varmint hunters
Yeah.
in Texas.
No
it
doubt.
only makes sense. It
Yeah.
only makes sense for us down here.
Yeah, they got the model numbers figured out, but yeah, the X's are going to be the ones that are for all of your 1024. I don't know if we're going to see any 1024 scanners or anything like that. I do know the Pulsar has a 1024 handheld, but when you were looking at the millikelvin the other day, and what was it on that 1024?
It's a sub 40 because I had a good conversation.
Because this one's 18.
Sub 18, yes. I had a good conversation with the customer.
Try not to bash any companies,
Yeah,
but
the other day, and he was upset with it. He was like, "Man, it's a sub 40 millikelvin rating on the sensor," and I was just like, "Man, that's it." He brought that to my attention. I had no idea. I mean, I thought it was still going to be somewhere around the sub 20 or even sub 25, and he brought it up, and I went and verified, and sure enough, it's a sub 40, and he couldn't figure out why in humid and foggy conditions that the image was terrible. But it makes sense. It goes hand in hand with each other, But like Jason said, not trying to bash anybody out. I'm just going to keep it there and just say, make sure you pay attention to your specs. Like we were talking about, sub 18 on the 1024. That's why you're getting that phenomenal image and seeing all the good detail with that new Bolt TX60C because of the sub 18 millikelvin rating.
Yeah, and that's the thing is tell people social media, reach out to us, send us a message, give us a call here, come by and see this thing in person, go compare other units and go look at it. you're going to be spending a lot of money. I mean, you don't want to sit you making a decision
Right.
and buying some other thing that you're just like, oh man, this is not what I thought it was. It's like they're not all the same across the board. There's different technology in each scope that's out there. I mean, we get to play around with a lot of stuff, and when you find one you really like, I mean, this is why I wanted to choose this. This is one of
Yeah.
these videos that I've been excited to talk
Yeah.
about. Just because I know we have all experienced that and what the top of the line thermal is and what does it look like now.
Right.
And I mean, we had this conversation a year ago. It had been totally different.
Right.
And there's always changes. I mean, this thing's come in cycles of about every 2 years. Hell, it's getting now to where you're almost seeing it like every 18 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're seeing some changes in technology. So it's like if you're thinking about getting into this industry and starting to get into nighttime hunting, just it's like it's like not like a merry-go-round. It's like hop in. It's like jump rope. Hop. You got to hop in on it. You got to get in on it. Get
You
in
gotta
on the
start
fun,
somewhere.
man. Like
Yeah.
get in now. It's like if you're gonna be a 384 guy and that's what you can afford, go for it. Go 384. Get the best 384 you can buy. Get the best 640 you can buy. And you know what? You got a little extra money. And pay a couple payments and get a 1024. Go 1024. You're never gonna regret going that higher resolution.
Oh no, not at
I mean,
all.
we get to buy once, cry once guys all the time, but it's like, but don't be sitting there mortgaging your house to get a thermal or your car or whatever.
promise it's-
pawning your wife's wedding ring or whatever that she don't wear
They're
anymore.
fun, but it ain't worth that hassle.
yeah, don't be doing that kind of stuff. But definitely, if you are in the market and you're looking for something on the high end quality, there's nothing out there that I think that's going to beat image quality wise than this TX60 right now.
I haven't seen it, and I've ran a bunch of them.
I mean, and you were a big fan of that hybrid 75.
Yeah.
But
Your eye height, scope height was a problem with it. The 75 millimeter objective.
yeah, because you had to get it
That's
up enough
just something because I'm a bolt action guy, so that's just one of them things. But I mean, I shot a lot of stuff with it and made some pretty good video with it. But
But once you kind of launched this one, it was kind of like, oh man, well,
Game over.
Yeah,
This is it right
Going
here.
10,
Bolt
20.
action, baby.
I'm not saying that hybrid's trash. You want something
no,
that's
it's
like
definitely
clip-on.
not. It's
You
got a
want
remote.
clip-on.
I love having a remote. And so,
I mean, you run to be able to run. I mean, you ran the hybrid 75 as a clip-on.
yeah, I did that as well.
You want to know how many people are asking questions about that? I should have just been like deferring calls to you, like, oh yeah, he did, he liked it.
It was a little
good.
bulky, but it worked.
He
It
was
worked.
crazy about it. That's-
Some of the long
yeah.
range shooters wanted to do that, but but it is nice to reduce everything, have the day scope out of the way, and just sit there and have a nice dedicated thermal with high resolution. It's hard to beat.
Yeah.
And it is very hard. Like I said, now I got to go test the other stuff and got to test some other new things that are coming out. But this will always be one that if I need to go throw
Tops
a
the
scope,
charts.
like we're gonna go. You're not able to go join us in South Texas, but
No.
But Justin and I gonna run down there. I'm gonna put this one back on the gun. I think he was hoping that I wouldn't put this one on a gun and he'd go snatch
That's
it. but,
fine.
Yeah.
And maybe our new rep will take care of me and have mine
Have
in,
its own-
in the next couple of weeks.
His own personal one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can be twins when we're down there pot hunting in the South Texas.
You're
West
gonna need it
Country.
for that heat down there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't plan on leaving it here with anything less than a 640 going
Yeah.
down there. So
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting when we go down there. Like you said, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be I'm sure the humidity is gonna be high because that hurricane just went through down there in deep South Texas. So I'm sure it's gonna be wet, muggy, and everything else. So we're gonna bring our A game with us and see what we can make happen.
Well, Colt, we always appreciate you joining us, man.
I love being here.
No, we'll get you on some more, man, because I think always by people appreciate
fun.
having another word about products besides just Justin and I over
Yeah,
here.
Right.
won't make us look like liars over here. We'll have the third person to agree with us on what's good and what's bad. So,
Yeah.
but aside from that, make sure you check us out on Apple and Spotify podcast at Hunting After Dark. Look us up on our website, huntingafterdark.com. And you can always send us an email at huntingafterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.